Diabetes 1 is really severe diabetes where the cells are damaged in the pancreas and unable to make insulin. Diabetes 2 is really a lifestyle disease where the pancreas has just been overworked by a high carbohydrate, high sugar diet. But the same guidelines will heal both. Can you heal type 1 diabetes? We've seen many heal. Many heal from type 1 diabetes. So I'm going to give you the story of a young man named Dan who came to us. Now Dan had type 1 diabetes. He was 19. He'd been diagnosed when he was 15. He got diabetes after a very strong course of antibiotics for a chest problem, and then it damaged his pancreatic cells, the beta cells that made insulin. When he came to us, he was on 90 units of insulin a day. He was carrying a little bit of excess weight, which is common when people are on a lot of insulin, because insulin's role is to get the glucose out of the blood and into the cell to store it. So the first 2 days at the retreat, we always have juicing. His name was Dan. Dan enjoyed the juices. But at night he found that his blood sugar levels were going too low. Interesting, even on the vegetable juices they were going too low. That meant he was on too much insulin. He had to keep adjusting his insulin because his blood sugar levels kept going low. The first night he would take a lolly or a candy at night. That would get them up, but it would always give him a headache because it got it up so high so fast. The second week he was convicted he shouldn't do that. So if he had a blood sugar level low in the middle of the night, he'd eat an apple. That would get it up without the headache, but it takes a while to eat an apple. After hearing the lectures, he decided on the third week that if he had a blood sugar level low in the middle of the night, he'd jump down on the floor and do 30 push-ups. His blood sugar level would come up, and he hadn't eaten anything. Where did that come from? In our cell, there are little molecules of glucose that are stored there. They're called glycogen. Glycogen is a name given to quick-release glucose stores. And they're there for when we need them. So Dan, in the middle of the night, did push-ups, and when you start doing push-ups, the cell says, I need more fuel. And those glycogen stores, they're like a little bunch of grapes, and they're in the muscle cell. And so what the body does, it just plucks it and puts it through the energy cycle, plucks it, puts it through the energy cycle. He said to me the next day, he said, why didn't anyone tell me about glycogen? Those little stores that are sitting in the muscle cell. One morning, Dan rose and his blood glucose levels were 3. That's very low. Our blood glucose levels should sit about 5.5 to 6.5. He took some salt and some water, got dressed, took some more salt, some more water, put his shoes on so he spread the water out, and then he went for a high-intensity interval training run up and down the hills at Misty Mountain. When he came back, he took his blood sugar levels. They were 9. Where had that come from? He had nothing to eat. He had the salt, he had the water. Remember, the salt helped the water go in the cell. The water in the cell helps release those glycogen stores. He was with us for 4 weeks. When he left, he was down to 10 units of insulin a day. That's type 1 diabetic. He had a very low carbohydrate diet. So what did he have for breakfast? He decided not to have any fruit because he wanted to knock this and knock it fast. If you want fruit, go for the low GI fruits. He'd have sourdough spelt toast. He'd have some olive oil on that, avocado, tomato. He'd have some lentils. He had some nuts and some seeds. Low carbohydrate. At lunchtime he had a salad. He had low glycemic vegetables, so he'd have more sweet potatoes, lots of greens, broccoli, cauliflower, and he'd have also legumes, maybe scrambled tofu, maybe a stir fry with tofu in it, or maybe he'd have black-eyed beans or a we've done the tofu, or some sort of legume dish, maybe lentils or lima beans or black-eyed beans or cannellini beans or kidney beans. At night, he just had broth. That's all he had. He wasn't getting blood sugar lows anymore because he'd reduced his insulin right down. So his cells, which apparently had been damaged beyond repair, they were obviously repairing, because if they didn't, he wouldn't have had to reduce his blood sugar levels. Dan was diagnosed as type 1 diabetic, and he conquered his diabetes. What an amazing body we live in. I can't say that will happen in every case, but I have seen it happen every time. So you know what I say? Just give it your best. Yes, hydration. Yes, the salt with the water. In fact, we have found that to be more effective than a snack between meals, because your stomach needs the break. Going to bed early. Eating most of your meal at breakfast and lunch. Having a high fibre, low carbohydrate, generous proteins, healthy fats. Make sure you exercise every day. That sounds like the 8 laws of health to conquer type 1 and type 2 diabetes.